Hey, Vikings fans, you are listening to the Purple People podcast. We got two of us this week. I'm Kyle West, accompanied by the returning Adam Carlson.
I sat out last week. I wasn't quite feeling myself, so I came back this week. I'm ready to talk Vikings football, so that's what we're doing here.
Glad to have you back on the show. Kyle Smith is out. He is out of state right now.
He's vacationing. He's out having fun.
He is a slacker with his vacation. You know what? He's earned it.
He absolutely has.
I'm going to give him some time off every now and then.
So here we've got episode number 239 of the Purple People podcast. This one is titled Sam's Club because we are going to be talking about Samantha Ponder.
We could talk about Samantha Ponder. We're going to be talking about Sam.
If we did a
Bradford.
show about Samantha Ponder and Kyle Smith wasn't here, he would be mad.
Oh, he'd be pissed. It'd be the last show. He'd be like, "That's it. I'm branching off and starting the Kyle Smith podcast."
Oh, that would be great. But we got lots to talk about, so let's head on in here. Let's start with.
Hey, we got a couple guys in.
What's going on?
We got a couple guys in the chat really quick. We got Dorian Foley. Yeah, we got Dorian Foley with us, one of our regular listeners, and we got Tommy Gunn, who is always with us as well too.
There's no RIPs. We're all fine. Don't worry. I'm not back from the dead. I'm not a zombie. I mean, I know that's could be what happening, but it's not the way it worked out.
Walking Dead did return. You got the old pulse there, Adam.
It's a really good episode.
Oh, I loved it.
But this isn't the Walking Dead podcast. This is the Purple People podcast. So let's talk about Vikings football, in particular, kicker Blair Walsh. He is now a member of the Seattle Seahawks, which a lot of people are calling ironic. I'm not going to call it ironic, but I'll call it effing weird.
Interesting. Interesting is the word. You said it very poignantly in our group chat when you were like, well, he's already won one game for the Seahawks.
I said that out of spite, though. I like Blair Walsh. I wish him a good career going forward, and I hope he can get out of his funk. But I hope it doesn't end up costing the Vikings in the long run. That's where I'm at with it.
Mm-hmm. You got a shout out for your cauliflower pizza.
Oh, that cauliflower pizza was good. This low carb diet, you got to try some new things, and that cauliflower pizza was good stuff.
Yeah, you put some pineapple on that. Anyway, for Blair, we'll keep it short because he's not with the team anymore, so who cares? But I am not surprised, to be perfectly honest, that he got a tryout with another team.
No, not at all.
Because we've seen him in his rookie year. He was a good kicker. He needed a change of scenery for whatever reason. It wasn't working in Minnesota, and Seattle was having problems with their kicker. There's a history of them signing former Vikings anyway, so it makes sense that he would go with them. I hope that he can pull it together and have a good career. Blair's he's a great guy. He really
seems like a good egg.
He does. I don't want him to beat us in the playoffs, though. If that happens, that will just be. Boy, that'll be a fired up, riled up show.
That would be something. Moving on, we did have a couple of Vikings cuts this week. Two offensive linemen, Brandon Fusco and Mike Harris, saw themselves being released. Fusco was a bit of a surprise considering that he still had several years left on his deal. Mm-hmm. Mike Harris didn't play at all last year because of a mystery illness, which never really got tackled.
Yeah, I was wondering, have you heard anything at all on that front, Adam?
No, I'm kind of curious what's going on. I like Mike Harris. For a while I said that he was a very fringe to decent starting guard on an offense, but whatever has kept him out of the lineup, it's scary. I don't know what's going on with him. I'm not going to pretend to know, but I hope whatever it is, it gets better. He can return to playing football soon. Fusco, I don't know if it's a confidence issue, if he's still dealing with those injuries. I know this year he had a couple concussions, or he dealt with at least one concussion. And previous season he had a pectoral issue that maybe dealt with his confidence. I don't know. But these are two players who just had one role with the Vikings for a while, and now they don't anymore. And it's sad to see him go, but it's a business.
NFL's a short career for some of these players. Brandon Fusco was a guy that I liked and a guy that I thought was, at one time was a starting caliber lineman in the NFL as well too. And the injury bug and whatever reasons really seemed to derail him quick. I can't say that I'm surprised that he got released, but I am surprised that it happened right now. We all know that this offensive line is going to have a lot done with it. He would be one of the guys that we're going to bring in some pieces and parts and talent from all over, and we're going to let it shake out through training camp. And I thought he would be one of those guys that would be here through training camp and part of preseason, just to see for depth and what happens, injury bug and other things. But I guess, they need to make a shake-up on the line, and, this was their first way of doing it. So I am glad to see them working on it.
The interior of the line wasn't as big of a deal as the outside, so they'll probably draft a young guy on the inside to maybe look after or follow in the footsteps of Joe Berger. And then you've already got the White Rhino on the left, and on the right side you can have whoever doesn't start at center. So they're okay still on the line. They're going to get a little bit more depth, whether it's through free agency or the draft, but it'll all get taken care of. No.
Hey, we got that jerk Kyle Smith with us lurking in the chat. He's using language that we cannot use on the show right now. I'm gonna write you a ticket for that one, sir.
You're going on the list.
Dorian brings up an interesting comment really quick. He says, all joking aside, if Blair Walsh turns it around, do we pursue him again? I don't think so.
No.
I think that his career in Minnesota, his time is over. If he was to come back, I think there would have to be more than a year to go by. I think it would have to be a large span of time.
Agreed. And I think that if he does play well, Seattle's not going to let him go.
Precisely.
Moving on, we have some rumors in free agency. This is that time of year. Rumors are going to start flying, and of course, when it's linked to an offensive tackle, it's going to make some news. Baltimore Ravens right tackle Rick Wagner is a supposed target of interest from the Vikings, and to be honest, why not?
Mm-hmm.
It makes sense. He could fit in well. I don't think that Vikings fans really understand how tough the things are going to be for the team as far as money to spend in free agency. I think they're really underestimating what it's going to cost to sign some of these players back.
You had also had another great point that you had made in the chat, Adam, where I told you I was talking to my friend Mike, just right as it happened to come out that we released Fusco and Harris, and he made the comment of, who are the Vikings freeing up money to go after? And I loved what you said in private, where you said that that the people that they're going after are players that are already on the team.
Yeah.
That's going to be the free agent splash, is bringing our own players back and making sure that they don't go. In terms of a right tackle, I really don't know much about Rick Wagner, but I'm not surprised that the first kind of rumors that we're hearing about who the team is interested in is on that offensive line.
He graded out well. He could be a nice addition.
Mm-hmm.
But while we're talking about rumors, NFL.com recently released a list of possible targets for the Minnesota Vikings to use their franchise tag on. Now, the Vikings have only used their franchise tag twice. And that means it's a trivia question. Mr. West, who are they?
I don't. One was recently. Was it Chad Greenway?
Chad Greenway was one.
Okay. The other, I couldn't for the life of me tell me who the other one was.
Jimmy Kleinsasser, and neither time did the player play out the franchise tag. The Vikings like to use that to hold a player in place while they work out a long-term deal if it tends to go past the opening of free agency. So if it is used, I think that'll be the reason it's used.
Mm-hmm.
But the names that they threw out there didn't make sense to me. They said, well, Matt Khalil or Andre Smith, neither of those guys is going to get the franchise tag. I just don't see that happening. But I could see if Captain Munnerlyn wanted to hit free agency, I could see them locking him down for a year. Cordero Patterson, the team denied the fifth-year option, which now seems like a little bit of a mistake since he's coming into his own, playing well. And, of course, he's a restricted free agent, Adam Thielen. But that doesn't mean they're going to get a deal done. And if Thielen hits the open market, I think he's going to do pretty darn well.
I think he could do really well. Look at someone like Eric Decker. The kind of the money that he made, going out there when he signed with the Jets, and I could see him commanding some money like that as well too. I think that if they use the tag on anyone, it would probably be Captain Munnerlyn. I think he would be the guy that might be the most likely to try to venture out elsewhere, even though he likes it here. But I could see him, maybe trying to pursue some more money out there elsewhere. I think a lot of the other guys are going to want to stick around Minnesota. Yeah. I think Adam Thielen, just his story and coming from the team and the Vikings being the only ones that had any faith in him at all to give him that tryout. He loves it here. He's going to want to stick around here. Yeah, you got to pay him, but I think that will help out a little bit with him as well, too.
Yeah, and the dynamic of the nickel cornerback has changed over the last couple of years. When the Vikings locked down Captain Munnerlyn to his last deal, the value wasn't nearly as high as it is now. So he could make a big payday if he hit free agency. So I would not rule out that happening.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of making money, and if you're watching on YouTube, you'll see my green shirt. That's in honor of some straight cash homie.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It is former Viking Randy Moss's birthday today, and I know that at least one of the hosts of this show is a big fan of Randy Moss.
Bam! I should have put my jersey on, but I got busy watching Raw and forgot about it. But I was going to. It's in my closet right over there. But yeah, Randy Moss, happy birthday. We were looking forward to talking about him in the Hall of Fame next year, right, Adam?
He's eligible for the first time ever, him and Hutch. So it'll be interesting to see if that happens. Meanwhile, we have Fox Sports talking about the Vikings' best draft pick in the last 5 years. And to be honest, I was a little surprised they went with Xavier Rhodes. Xavier Rhodes is a very solid choice, don't get me wrong. He has been a fantastic player for the Vikings. And I think in the end, it came down to Xavier Rhodes or Harrison Smith, and either one they would have picked would have been fine.
I think they went with, and it's an even toss-up between the two of them. They're both outstanding draft choices for this team.
Yes.
The corner position is just so valuable of a position. And Rhodes has just done outstanding underneath Mike Zimmer. You guys remember some of the stats that we talked about last season where quarterbacks had a 0.0 rating at times throwing against him? I mean, that is unheard of shutdown territory for him to be doing. He is a amazing player for this team.
Absolutely. And like I said, they could have gone either way and it would have been absolutely fine.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, and that's not to take anything away from Harrison Smith, who we've talked about that on the show, or at least I have, is that, as the decline of, for a long time, Adrian Peterson was hands down the best player, the best athlete on the team. And I've thought for, as Adrian gets older and, his value goes down, that Harrison Smith came up, and I really do think that Harrison turned into probably the best all-around player and athlete on this team. But, Xavier gives him a good run for his money as well, too. We're very lucky to have them on defense.
Very true, very true. The Vikings released news that season tickets for 2017 would remain at the same prices as 2016. And honestly, I think that's a good move. The Vikings went on and thanked the fans for selling out every game, which if you've got to sell out every game, you can increase those prices and people will pay a little extra. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, Pro Football Talk went the other route and said that the Vikings had a disappointing season and that their upcoming home schedule doesn't look fantastic, so that if they did try to increase prices, it would probably affect their attendance, which I don't know if I believe that.
The cynic in me, that was the first place that my mind went as well, too. It was that, the season didn't quite work out. But honestly, I don't think it has anything to do with that. You got to remember how hard the Vikings fought to keep the stadium in Minnesota. They want to reward the fans, and they want to, make sure that these games sell out and that the fans of Minnesota are able to afford and support and go to this, because we fought for so long to get this here. And I think it's cool of them to do that.
Definitely, definitely. And our final quick hit involves Kyle Rudolph, who was named the 2016 Blue Collar Player of the Year. And I don't know what that means, so that's over to you, Mr. West.
That was on somewhere. I don't remember where I read that. I think I read it over on thevikingage.com. But I did not read the article. I just scanned the headline.
Uh-oh.
So you can go over on thevikingage.com and you can read all about Kyle Rudolph getting more honors for this team.
I've been grinding on my Undead Walking stuff lately, so I'm not all caught up on the Vikings news.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Get those website clicks. Go over there and find out.
Need those clickbait ducats.
You betcha. Kyle Rudolph pregnant.
Oh.
Clickbait. I don't know. We could.
Next time it's going to be triplets. He's going to one-up it. Moving on to the main topic now. We have been doing the In or Out series, which seems to be catching fire within Vikings communities, picking up and putting their own spin on it, whether it's keep or cut or whatever. But I'm sure we borrowed it from someone too. I don't know. But we have this series going. We've already covered several players. And up next, we have Sam Bradford to discuss this week. And we have some very passionate fans on the topic of Sam Bradford.
We do. We had a lot of fan replies. Some of it got kind of heated, which is awesome, actually. We like that. We like the fact that you guys can be passionate. And
yes,
you love the Minnesota Vikings, because we do too, man. We're all fans. Like, we love this team. That's why we talk about this team each and every week. So we got some great stuff. I can't read everything because we got so many comments from people. And there was a lot of not only comments, but then discussion amongst comments. Lots of stuff. We got a lot of people saying that it was a dumb question, that we even asked it, just due to, the health of Teddy Bridgewater and other reasons. And we love all those answers, but we wanted to make it fun, and we wanted to include players that were obviously they were going, and some ones that obviously they were going to stick around, and that's what gets fun responses. Let's see here. John said that we should get Brett Favre back into the mix. That one's for you, Kyle Smith. Thomas Buge says that he broke like 3 records last year. Keep, in all capital letters, he said, keep him and get him some weapons. Look at the Falcons and the Patriots. Get balanced and we can own. Stephen Osborne Jr. said, keep, I don't know. I didn't know this was an option. Fix our O-line and we are real contenders. Johnny Buckland said, cut him and get Johnny Football. ... Oh, wait. I like that one. Dorian Foley said, no question, you gotta keep Sam Bradford. Corbin, he came in with, keep him. Teddy will not play next year.
Did we have anybody saying out?
I don't have anyone who said out. Everyone is saying keep. A lot of people with just one answer, keep. Steven said, unless your backup is Aaron Rodgers, you better keep that guy. There was no one who said just out. Like, no one said that he needs to go.
Well, Sam Bradford is a bit of a polarizing character, like I said, because he did have a season where he broke records, and that completion percentage was amazing. He did a great job coming in and taking over a team after not having a lot of experience going after it. And I think the main problem people have that they don't really understand is the people that are calling for Bradford's head say that he's dumping off too many passes, he's throwing short passes on third down, and a lot of that has to do with his time in the pocket and instances like that. However, there are some fans that say that Sam Bradford, if he wants to stick around for 2017, he needs to make a pay cut, and that is kind of absurd.
I don't agree with that, because there are a host of teams out there that would pay Sam Bradford what he's making now and probably more to have him on their roster. Do you think the Cleveland Browns would pass up the opportunity to have Sam Bradford? They would pay an arm and a leg to have him on the team right now. Like, quarterbacks, mediocre quarterbacks are getting huge contracts, and Sam Bradford is above mediocre.
Is $18 million a lot of money for Sam Bradford? Yes, it is. But when you look at last year, he played for $7 million, so you've got $25 million. You've got $12.5 million a year for Sam Bradford on average. That is more than fine for your starting quarterback. Mm-hmm. I don't see that as an issue at all. I've heard people say that Sam Bradford should be cut to save the $18 million, and they should be looking at Tony Romo or one of the other high-profile players, Tyrod Taylor, whoever.
No, I mean, no. That's not even realistic in my opinion. Like that's Madden talk. Like that's not going to happen. Sam, hey, look, you fixed the offensive line. I think the reason why people were frustrated is not Sam Bradford's fault. You're looking at a guy who came in on a week's notice and had to learn a playbook. He had to learn a system and go out there and compete. He had no run game. He had no protection. His offensive coordinator quit, and his head coach had to have eye surgery. I mean, you look at just all the things that happened to this team, and he still went out there and he's setting records and looking good for this team. You just got to put some faith in him and give him like the correct set of circumstances to win. They were making things up on the fly, in my opinion, with this playbook to try to cover up. You know, they're trying to stick Band-Aids over a gushing wound when it comes to how historically bad our run game was. And without being able to run the football, you're not going to throw deep passes. You're just not going to. That's why they had to rely on these short dump-off throws, on top of him just getting absolutely creamed because TJ Clemmings can't block.
Well, on top of that, too, Bradford was able to open things up as the season went on. Some different protection schemes were being used. Some different personnel were used. It gives hope that the Vikings will be able to have a downfield threat going forward, as well as the quick, efficient offense that goes with it. And if they can pair that with a running game, some improved offensive line play, there's no reason to think that Sam Bradford can't lead this offense into the playoffs and maybe even a little bit of a playoff run.
I totally agree, Adam. And you know what? I love Teddy Bridgewater. We're both huge Teddy Bridgewater fans. But you look at Sam, and I really think him being a veteran and being around the league a little bit longer actually helped us this season. If you put Teddy in the same situation that Sam Bradford was in this year, with him being, rookie is not the right word for it.
He's more inexperienced, and he doesn't have the same kind of skill set that Sam Bradford does. He doesn't have the same kind of deep ball, even though he does have more mobility. It's an offset there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what I'm getting at is that I think Teddy would have excelled in a couple areas maybe that Bradford wouldn't have. He's a little more mobile. But I don't think he would have had all that different of an outcome. I mean, this offense ended up being what this offense was because of a lot of circumstances.
Yeah.
And if it would have been Teddy, I think it would have been the same kind of dink and dunk thing that you've seen, because like I said, that's a result of coordinator quitting, bad protection, and no run game. Like, this is what you get.
Absolutely.
I'm fired up this week. I don't know why. I'm just fired up to talk about Vikings football. Like, it's off season, but let's go. Like, let's get going on this, man.
Well, there's so much going on right now. We got the Combine just around the corner.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that.
And I'll be honest, ever since the Viking Age picked up a writer, we have JR Draft Scout over there, so we've got him handling all of our draft coverage, so I'm not going to be doing my usual prospect coverage and all that kind of stuff. I might do a couple pieces based on players I really like or don't like, but he'll be handling most of that this year, so I'm going into this a lot more blind than in the past. Mm-hmm. But I'm still going to be doing some research and bringing you guys some of the targets that I like the best, some players to watch, and that sort of thing. But, of course, that's still a ways down the road. But it's going to be weird doing that because I'm so used to doing all that evaluating, watching tape on each of these guys for a little bit, writing up a piece. It's going to be weird not doing that.
It's so weird because we don't have a first-round draft pick. And underneath, that's not something that we're accustomed to underneath Rick Spielman. Because Rick, he covets, man, those draft picks in general, but especially those first-round draft picks. And we've seen him a number of times. If he can get 2 or 3 draft picks in the first, he wants to do it. And so it's an odd sort of position for us, especially given the way the season kind of fell apart after the bye week, for us to not have a first-round draft pick. It feels weird.
It does feel kind of weird. It does.
Mm-hmm. Because usually you're looking at, well, the season fell apart, but we have you got that first round pick that you're looking forward to having, and without having one this year, it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see how they handle it, what they do.
I'm going to call an audible here, and I'm going to change next week's in or out target, and I'm going to say Kai Forbath for next week.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Because he is scheduled to become a free agent. The team could decide to bring him back or not, or they could go into the draft. This should bring a lot of good discussion about youth versus experience. And, Kai Forbath's, he doesn't have the strongest leg, but he's got some accuracy. This could be a really fun topic to debate.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to call an audible there and bring that one up.
We got some Walking Dead. I'm trying to get caught up on the chat here. I missed a bunch of stuff. I apologize for that. It's a little harder when there's just 2 of us to try to keep up on the chat and talk at the show at the same time.
Understandable.
Eric said that he absolutely loved the Walking Dead episode that we just seen.
Oh, it was good.
With the Walker kill on the road, and he really wants to know what happened next.
Come on. I don't give away spoilers.
Oh, I know you might know, too. That's the thing.
I know who this group is. I know what their role is. I know how things are going to work out with King Ezekiel. Come on. But I'm not telling all you guys. But yeah, it's something to look forward to. And I know that I promote Undead Walking a lot on here, and I probably shouldn't because you guys are Vikings fans, not the Walking Dead fans. But if there is some crossover, I appreciate it.
You know what? The Walking Dead is such a huge phenomenon. Everyone loves Walking Dead, so we can chat about it a little bit at the end of the show. I think that's fine.
All right, so we'll post up about Kai Forbath for next week, and hopefully we'll get quite a few passionate opinions about that one.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, we have... I just want to go over this because I don't do this enough. I know you guys love coming here and watching live as we do our thing on YouTube, or coming back later and watching on YouTube. But there also are other options to check us out. We've got iTunes, we've got PodOMatic, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Player FM, Spreaker. We are literally all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
And wherever you go, our our podcast works. All you gotta do is click it and we're there.
The shots are fired.
I hate when I get told to check out a Vikings podcast and I go and check it out at two or three different locations, and I just can't get it to work. It's like, oh, this document not found. Cool. Website does not exist. Fun. That's just no fun.
You know what, guys? We enjoy our podcast. We have fun. We love it. We love chatting Vikings football. We love having everyone with us. And us having fun, if you don't like that, that's okay.
Yeah, we aren't here to be informative. We aren't here to be your official news source for the Minnesota Vikings. We are just coming here to talk football, interact with you guys. And to be honest, when we first started, it was just us recording us talking about football. That's all it was.
Yeah.
And from there, it turned into this live feature where we're interacting with people and just having a wonderful time. And if you are looking for a more professional podcast, you're in the wrong spot.
Yeah.
We aren't going to have the polished stuff. We're not going to have awesome graphics. We're not going to have cool stuff popping up or official video, none of that. You're just going to get our ugly mugs talking about Vikings football, giving our opinions each week.
Yeah, Google Hangouts took away our little name bars down at the bottom.
Yeah, we used to have some pretty cool little name bars. But that's gone now.
It's just all gone. Although we do, we always want to present you guys with accurate information. I think we take pride on that as well, too, is that we never want to be like, hey, here's this rumor, and then present it as a fact. we always, either on the Facebook page or on the podcast, when it's a rumor, man, we tell you guys up front, hey, rumor. We don't know if this is true. We don't want to present things that are made up.
The other thing we don't want to do is come and approach you with 5 minutes of talking about weather or politics or a 2-minute intro or an advertisement before the show.
Yeah, we have no sponsors, and that's the way we want to keep it.
No. And all the promotions that we run, we pull out of our pocket.
Yeah.
The Survival League champions, I never got a chance to thank them for participating here on the show. So, as I said, it's over. Craig Morley, once again, reigns supreme over our Survival League. Someone's got to dethrone him.
You got to dethrone him. He's two-time champion.
2-time. It's so impressive. But I do have the final pieces from the prize packages here, so I will be mailing those out sometime this week. And tracking numbers will go out to the winners, because we are giving a prize package to the second place person who made it all the way through to the Super Bowl, because that's pretty impressive. Next year, we're going to change up the format a little bit. Instead of 3 strikes, we're going to be 2, because we can't risk going all the way through the season again.
Got a little hairy there at the end. A little hairy.
I got a little worried that we were going to have 5 winners at the end, and thanks to the Green Bay Packers getting beat by the Atlanta Falcons, it knocked 5 of us out, or 3 of us out at least. I think 4.
Good things always happen when the Packers take a loss.
So that was scary stuff. So as far as Vikings news, that's all I have for this week. Usually this is where I would pitch something off to Kyle Smith for his bold statement of the week, but we don't have anything, so
I can make something up for him.
Last time I made something up for him, he didn't really like it too much.
He would say that tacos are better with Doritos in them as opposed to, like soft shell or
those Doritos Locos Tacos?
Yeah, those Doritos Los Tacos are the best. That's your Kyle Smith bold statement for the week.
Here's my bold statement. I went to Taco Bell and tried one of those naked chicken chalupas. They are way too salty. Way too salty.
That is not good for your diet, sir. That is not part of the plan.
Hey, you get a cheat day once in a while. And I decided to waste my cheat day, or my cheat meal, on that salty little chicken thing. And it was not worth it. Was not worth it.
We're returning to the fast food podcast. We should really end this. I had one of those, like, mega McDonald's sandwiches. What are they called?
I have no idea.
It's like the Mega Big Mac, and the amount of calories in that thing was like almost half of what your daily intake is supposed to be.
That's insane.
That's just like, I'm heart attack just after that.
But we'll be back next week for your weekly Purple People podcast intake, because we don't really miss a show. We don't.
That's a good tagline, Purple People podcast intake. I like that.
So I don't know what kind of news we'll get. I'm sure we'll get something going forward. The Vikings never go a week without something big. So I'd like to thank everyone for listening. I named off all the places where you can come check us out, so please do that. If you're on YouTube, or if you've got a YouTube channel or account, head on over to our YouTube account. Give us a like. I'm not going to say share us, because you don't have to do that.
Yeah, whatever.
But the like, I would appreciate the like, because once we get to 1,000 likes, and it's been a bit of a slow progress there, we can go on to use YouTube Live instead of our Google Hangouts, which would allow us to do a lot more cool stuff. So please head on over and do that. Speaking of heading over to places, at Purple People Pod on Twitter. Our Facebook page is where you can get probably the most from our conversation. And I do want to say that if you are in the Chicago area at the end of March, I will be there representing Undead Walking at Walker Stalker Con Chicago. Stop on in, say hello if you're in the area. It'd be nice to see some people, and maybe even see some Minnesota Vikings fans down in Chicago. I don't think there are that many over there, but it'd be nice to see some more. On that note, thanks for listening, and remember to stay classy, Minnesota.